out my wildest dreams. Maybe that one could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wonder what would change. I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Today games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Time's gone by, I've traded like the hills to play. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Today games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? It's Monday, last week of school. All of those in education are going, wow! We're so excited here in Robertson County because it is time for a summer break. And as Dr. Chris Causey said it to me, I tell you what, I'm going to get you to switch over the mics. This mic seems to be the mic too. Just bring it. Just bring it. Just switch them, yeah. Just bring it on over to you. I've got Senator Kerry Roberts doing the mechanics for me here. No, but Dr. Chris Causey told me that it'll be like a long weekend. This is my first summer as a teacher. You know, hi y'all, I'm U-Turn Laverne. This is one street over, and this is 1100 WSGI, and this is Senator Kerry Roberts in the house. What's
Good morning.
up? Good morning. Good morning, but it's the last week of school, and I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break.
What you gonna do?
Maybe. Well, I mean, I've got to go to Murfreesboro a bunch for a certification.
It's a summer vacation.
Well, and
I'm going to Murfreesboro this summer.
Yeah, a bunch.
How about the beach? Come
no,
on.
oh heavens, no! I don't have time for a trip. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to do my mission trip. You know, I go to
When will that
Mexico
be?
every year. Mid-June.
Mid-June. Where are you gonna go?
El Rosario, down the Baja Peninsula. We go in at San Diego, then cross the border, go over in Ensenada. That's where the City of Children is.
You ever felt unsafe doing
Located.
that?
No, not at all.
Did you just see that they had like
Yeah.
10 gunmen killed 10 drivers in a Baja race or something? Did you see that over the weekend?
Did not. That's a little concerning, considering we're going to be down the Baja. Well, no,
not
I had.
to- not
when
to
when
add
did you
worry to
see
you,
that?
so-
Because I had not seen any kind of violence like that on the Baja. No.
It was in the news over the weekend. But
Ooh, well, that is a little concerning. Yeah,
I'm sure it
Yeah.
was probably
drug related.
drug related. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of violence on the Baja, so that does kind of make my. Huh, okay, but yeah, I hadn't seen that, but so that does give me pause
You know,
because
how close
until,
to Tijuana is this?
we go through Tijuana.
Do you know?
I had a wreck in
Okay,
Tijuana
What do you know about
2 years ago.
Tijuana and crime?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. We were 2 years ago, the first year we went back. You know, here's the thing. I was listening. Have you discovered BEMA? BEMA, the podcast BEMA?
No.
Oh, it's good. It's good stuff.
Who's got time for podcasts?
I just run it all the time in my earbuds. I mean, if I'm not talking.
What is it?
It's called Bema.
Well, what is it?
Bema. It is a dude that Marty Solomon that like all of us who've grown up in a church environment,
Mm-hmm.
just so much just didn't, I'm like, but what does that mean when I read that in the text? I don't get that. And just started deep diving for a deeper understanding. He's been in Israel. He is a teacher of Bible. And he just does this. I mean, and he's one of these that's just wrestling with scripture. And I think it started, I'm just learning about it. People have mentioned it to me a few times and I just couldn't get into it.
Is that an acronym or a word or what?
Bema is now, and I'm not sure this is exactly how he is using it. Bema is the thing that's in the middle of the synagogue that is used where they put the word. Okay, whenever you're in a synagogue, the ancient synagogues were done in the round, and they had that center pedestal was called the Bema. And that is where the book was kept. Now, it seems like there's another word similar because Hebrew is a very word poor language. They have, they use a word to mean many things, and you have to look at it in its context. And I think that messes us up so much in Scripture. But that's my understanding of where they got the name. Now, I may be a little bit off on that, but nonetheless, he is just doing a very deep dive, and very much like Christy McClellan, a lot of the things that I hear her say, he says as well, and other people I've studied that are just doing these real deep looks at the hermeneutics of it. Why was it written? Who was it written to? What was the context in which it was written? So we can better understand it. It's for us, of course, but originally, who was it written to? And it helps us to have a better understanding of it. I mean, forever, you heard about where it says you must have a good eye. Well, what does that mean? A good eye is a kind of like a what's the word where you say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's a what do you call those things? When you have a saying that you understand regionally, do you understand?
Yeah, kind of a colloquialism or
Yes,
something like that.
yes,
Yeah.
and there's a word, and it's escaping me right now. But
I haven't had enough coffee yet to answer questions like that, so go easy on me.
when you say if you're in Israel and you say he has a good eye, it means they're generous. It just means they're generous. And it's the same as if we would say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's like there's a word for those things, y'all. Somebody will tell me, and it normally is on the tip of my tongue, but I'm getting old. But anyway, so I'm listening to Bema this morning as I'm getting ready, and they were talking specifically about whenever Christ took the apostles up to the area where he says, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Here I will build my church. And it was an area that literally was known as the gates of hell. It was an area that was very pagan. And to take his apostles up there, you have to think if you were in that context, can you imagine being them and going, where are we going, Jesus? We're really going up here where all this pagan stuff's happening? And that's the gates of hell, really? And talking about how we have to go where it's not always safe. We have to go into unsafe areas because
Well, you're going to check that box in June.
well, and that's honestly and truthfully, I mean, there's always the consideration. We have to go by what our elders tell us to do.
Right.
They may shut the trip down. I don't know with this. No, I don't anticipate that, but that is concerning. We have not seen a lot of activity on the Baja Peninsula, but the town we stay in, El Rosario, is a Baja stop. For the Baja race. And we always joke around that El Rosario is the oldest city in Baja. And we always joke around that if you go to some of the other cities, Papalote and San Quintin and different ones like that, there's a very quaint little hotel called the Old Mill, which is but the water's kind of, sometimes you have water pressure, sometimes you don't, it's what you would expect in Mexico. And it's considered a very nice hotel. But then you get down to El Rosario and it's luxury. I mean, it's a luxury hotel because it was built for the Baja 500, the race, because that's a stop. And the little restaurant there, Mama Espinosa's, I think is what it's called. And the restaurant right there has got Baja stuff all over it. It is a tourist stop. So we go on a mission trip and we stay in a luxury hotel. So it's quite nice.
So tell me what you do while you're there. How long are you there?
We're
and
there
what
for a
all-
week, and we put on a clinic where we take and we work on. We do like little triage, check blood pressures and weights, and just the things just to see if they need further attention because healthcare is just not really available down there. It's just difficult, and we do eye checks. We have a refractor, which is the thing you put on your face when you first go to the eye doctor that tells you basically what your prescription is.
Right.
And then we have collected glasses. We've got no telling how many glasses down there that are donated. And we will sometimes get them from the Lions Club and they're already labeled. And then sometimes we'll just take the ones that people have donated to us and we'll go Springfield Optical up here.
Right.
Lets us come in and we've been reading glasses and we'll write the prescription on it and those go with us. And we fit the glasses on the folks down there, and I get to lead the optical clinic, and that's just giving sight to the blind, man. It's one of the most fulfilling things I get to do.
So what specifically does your day look like?
We get up and usually have a little devotional, have breakfast, open the eye clinic, or open the clinic at the church. We've built a church there in El Rosario and built a building, and we'll go in there and set up the eye clinic in the little triage area, and we do that several hours in the morning. Break, we'll continue throughout lunch, and usually about 3:00 we'll start breaking out. We'll do some maybe VBS or have a little church meeting. Have some services where sometimes Freddie, our preacher, will speak, or maybe he'll bring in somebody else. His dad's a very well-received minister down there, and everybody likes to hear him. We'll sing and do those things, the things you do at a gospel meeting down in Mexico. Of course, it's all in Espanol, and just the people are just amazing.
How's your Spanish?
No, I have none. I have translator. I have dear friends down there. I have a dear friend named Ilda, who I met when we had gone to a women's conference, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, in Ensenada, where we were staying at the City of Children, my friend April and I, and we got the opportunity to room with a woman named Ilda Lopez, and she was an engineer actually in San Diego, but all of her family's in Mexico, and she was best friends with the girl whose parents ran the City of Children. And so she was just, entrenched in it, and we got to be friends. And I said, you need to go down to El Rosario with us. And she's gone every year, and she's just like a sister to me. And I don't go anywhere without Ilda, Pilar, or somebody that can translate. I need to learn Spanish. I really do. I need to learn Spanish. I want to learn Spanish mainly so I can get my Latino students at school, and I'm going to quit talking about me. I know what you're saying.
Get the Duolingo app on your phone.
I've got it, and I just
You don't set your little reminders and.
I've got so many things. I'm listening to Bama all the time. Yeah. I really feel very pulled, Kerry, into ministry. And I don't know what that looks like for me, but I know that I'm supposed to be doing this very deep study right now. And so if I have any free time at all, that's where I am right now. That's where I got to be. And eventually maybe I'll get to the Spanish. You got me a little freaked out about the shootings down in the Baja.
No. I shouldn't have said that.
I had not heard that because I just don't really turn. Because most of the things that have been going on have been away from us. It hasn't been right in that area. So that's a little freaky.
Look, I was online. I saw a headline. Yeah. And I'm
wondering.
Caught my attention.
Yeah, now you got me wanting to do a Google search.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Well, I would have searched it for you, but I have lost the internet password yet again. So apparently,
and I don't know what it is off the top. Of at least 10 killed in Mexico. Woo! In Baja California, racing events, 10 dead. That's not good. That's going.
Was it in California or was it in Mexico?
Baja California, Mexico is because you've got California, and then that peninsula continues down, and it is called Baja California, Mexico.
But it's part of Mexico. Yeah.
It confuses people. They're like, you were in California? Like, no. Have you ever heard Hotel California?
Right.
It's about the Baja California. It's not about anything to do with U.S. California. It is Baja California, Mexico is what Hotel California was written about.
How about that?
Yeah, and you hear them playing it a lot down there. I mean,
Kinda
truly,
that's the
it's kind
theme
of like
song.
it's their anthem. It's like
So do you fly? You fly into San Diego.
correct.
So you get a
Then
direct flight
Mm-hmm.
from here to
Well,
there.
sometimes.
Well, I mean, Southwest
Yeah,
is
yeah.
generally,
Generally,
yeah.
yeah.
And then from San Diego Airport, how long does it take you to get down there?
Most of the day.
What's it like getting through? I mean, from here to there is no problem. What's
Yeah.
it like getting back?
Coming in across the border as we're coming in usually is difficult, and sometimes it's a quick, crossing. It just depends on really who is sitting in control of our country and how porous the borders are. And if the borders are porous, then that means more people are pouring across the border. If
Right.
it's easy to come in. If there's more restrictions coming in, then it tends to go a little bit easier.
So, but obviously going into Mexico is quite easy, but you're going to sit, is it like a parking lot coming back in?
Oh, yeah.
Or- yeah.
Oh yeah, incredible.
So it takes you
Incredible.
longer.
Oh yeah, I've had times that because we usually if we're on a bus we have to get out and stand in the line and cross, and we've stood there for hours. As we're waiting to cross back in, and there's just an incredible feeling once you step back. I've got a picture. One of my favorite pictures is I've got one foot in Mexico and one foot in the USA, right at the border
Yeah.
crossing, and one of the border guards took the picture for me, and it's just like I
That's
love it.
great.
It's a great picture, and it's one of my favorites. But it's breathtaking and it's wonderful. But I really hate this story happening because it's going to really freak my
How many
mom
years?
out.
How many years have you gone?
I would have. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say this is probably my 8th year, maybe.
So,
Not sure. I'm not sure when I started, but it's been a minute. Yeah,
so is mom listening to the show today?
probably not.
Probably not.
'Cause I get on her nerves, and I mean that's just all there is to it. But here's the thing: she watches the news, and she's going to, of course, know about this, and she's going to
Yeah.
be Laverne. Don't y'all go to Baja? Oh yeah, she's going to be all about it. But that's all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right, y'all. It'll be all right.
So, 8 years you've been doing this, and if I were to say, what's your favorite memory besides 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
Favorite?
would-
Oh
Do you
heavens,
have
that's
one?
not even. I mean, that's a fun picture. Favorite memories. Um, Going into the school a couple of years ago. Was it? Well, maybe it was last year. They all kind of run together, but we got to go into the school and give the kids eye checks,
Mm-hmm.
and meeting this sweet little girl who had fought cancer, and the chemo had messed with her eyes, and she was just adamant, "Are you guys going to get me some new glasses?" Because she couldn't see, and we were able to give her something she needed desperately, and they got her eventually to the eye doctor up in Sonata. But we were able to put some glasses on her that helped her that day, and just being able to do that one time. There's this one older lady who. The first time we saw her, she has cataracts really bad, and we had to put her in just this really strong prescription, but she could read her Bible again. Those are the moments. Those are the moments. And getting to work, I mean, and just anytime you go in there's this one guy, oh my gosh, he was a diver, right? And he got injured diving because that was like they would go down and they would get the I don't know, something. What are they? I guess oysters, maybe, or I don't know what they were harvesting, but that's what was his job. He was a diver and he would work. And he got injured. And so he's crippled up. But he has his property on top of one of the highest hills in El Rosario. And there's now a road that you can go up and see them. And we went up to see them just to, love on them. And found out that the man, by hand, dug the road, crawling on his legs, on his bad legs, dug the road. And I'm like, here we all are like, I'm on disability. I can't do anything. We're just it's embarrassing how untough we are. I don't think because I can't walk in somebody else's shoes, but whenever my husband, I don't know, some people don't know, my husband was crippled for a year, completely crippled by a doctor, a botched hip surgery that collapsed the minute he stood up. He could not walk for a year. And we were on temporary disability for a year. And as he got the reconstruction done and redone. That's why he walks funny, y'all. But he went skiing last year. Everybody thought he was crazy that he didn't stay on disability. Thought he was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted more than that. We both wanted more than that because that was probably, I don't know, 7 years ago. And since then, he was working at Electrolux at the time. He worked in the lab. He went back to school, got his master's in security, safety, and emergency management. Now he is the safety guy for the buses.
Right.
So much better life than sitting around on disability.
Right.
You know, and people like that. And if you're somebody that just really needs it, and I'm not judging you, but I'm saying dig really deep and see if that's really if that's where we want to land. Is that what you want to land? And you know, just see if there's something you can't do to be productive, and for one thing, to give you the heart to say, I can do this. I can push through this. And that man, you talk about inspiring. And he's still out there getting it. He goes and he finds fossils and all this and sells them to one of the local markets. It's just amazing. It's a breathtaking thing. I really hope they let us go. And y'all just cover us in prayer because that is kind of scary. But it sounds like, and it was, and they're saying at least 10 people were killed and 9 others injured at the annual all-terrain racing event in Baja California, erupted in a shooting as participants passed through the city of Ensenada. That's one of our main hangouts. And I don't know what happened, but Ensenada is also a port of call. For ships, for the cruise ships. So if you've been to Ensenada and you've been hanging out in the streets, I can see how in some of the little nooks and crannies of Ensenada that some things could go awry. I think I would be more concerned about this if this had happened as an ambush down the peninsula. As it sounds like a bunch of hoodlums just kind of, you know, sounds like a street fight in the inner city almost. So that doesn't concern me as much.
And well, when do you go? How?
We'll go mid-June. I forget the date.
You know, when things like this happen, though, you know, it's how do you say it? It's like everybody's on high alert.
Oh yeah, there'll be
looking out for
military
stuff,
everywhere down there.
So it'll be it'll be fine.
Yeah, the military will be everywhere.
Just don't tell your mom.
My friend Paul Rainey's on here, and what are you talking about? Where it depends on where your bus driver drops you off. I don't know what Paul's talking. We're leaving on the 17th. Paul says I was planning on taking Mark with me this year, and we're not. He's not going. He's staying behind again. But we're going to try to start taking him.
I think we had this conversation like a year ago, and I said I wanted to go.
You should.
And but I've got a daughter getting married this summer.
You're a state senator too. You know, that makes you kind of course, my husband, one of his things is he goes, I'm so big. I'm afraid I'm a big target. You might be a target. I don't know. As somebody that serves officially in political office, I think you should take
How would
pause more
people
than
know?
others. Well, true. That is true. But we'll just have to keep it on the down low if you decide to go, not let anybody know. But I think in a political position, you need to keep that on the down low.
I don't think I look like a state senator or whatever that means.
Yeah, but you are. I mean, you are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is a thing, you know. But anyway, I got to take a break. My goodness.
Yes.
Kerry,
you know what?
do this
Wait. Hold on.
Huh?
You're listening to the Kerry Roberts Show. My guest today is Laverne Vivio. Glad to
Isn't
have you
that
on,
the
Laverne.
truth?
We're
You're
going to
sitting
pause
here-
now to hear from Corbin Creek or someone.
Well, yeah, and what's so funny is everybody's going, Laverne, you got the senator in here and you're talking all about this, but he keeps asking me questions, and we're
I
friends.
know I do it as very intentional because you need to talk about this stuff.
Well, I appreciate it.
You know what we need in society today? We need more people who are serving others in the name of Jesus.
Amen. That's
it.
Amen. That's the big thing, and just get your Jesus on.
That'll
and get out
fix every.
there. Yep.
You know, all these people that expect laws to fix problems. You can't.
Can't.
Laws can't fix problems. Only Jesus can.
You can't make laws to bring hope back.
Right.
And the only way you're going to bring hope back for these kiddos that have been raised without God is to give them God back.
That's right. Yeah.
And I take that as a challenge, and I'm doing it. Just loving on these kids, these kids. They know I do ministry part-time now. And so they know where it comes from. I don't have to say it.
Well, you know what? The sad thing about this is that we have divorced society from our Creator.
Yep.
And so if you create something with intent, with design, with purpose. And so we're created.
Mm-hmm.
So we're created, we have a creator, and God has a plan for us. And God has a plan that's bigger than us. And I think probably the better way to say it is God has a plan, but he has a role for us in that plan.
Better believe it.
Therefore, he has a plan for us. And so we've gotten to this point in society where we've allowed the atheist and the all the bad people, and you can fill in whatever name you want to give them, who hate God. We've allowed them to succeed in shaming people who believe in God, who believe in Jesus, and to the point that we don't talk about this, and then we wonder what's wrong with society.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, but yet try to talk about it, and yet what happens? You get shamed, you get ridiculed, you get mocked, you get whatever the case might be, because there are forces of evil. There are a lot of people who are just useful idiots of Satan. And the question is, do they know that or not? I mean, are they aware of the role that they play? Or are they just, useful idiots for evil? And they're clueless as to what they're doing. I'm sure it's probably a lot of both. There are some people who are very, probably, they're very intentional about it, and then some are probably just have no idea. They're just,
they're just
parroting.
going along. They're parroting, and it's like I tell those who will listen, when they ask, you're gonna find what you're seeking.
Yeah.
You're going to find what you're seeking. And
goodness knows that's the way the internet works. So I have a premise, and I will Google till I find some expert who agrees with my opinion.
Get off Google. Anyway, Corbin Creek, let's go. Let me do a break here. We'll just we need a couple hours. After I get out of school, can we come and just hang out a couple hours one morning if you will let us?
Do we have to be on the air?
Aw.
There's no telling what I'd say. If we had a couple hours, I wouldn't be.
It'd be fun.
Probably say some things I'd forever regret. Who knows?
No,
so yeah, I mean,
no.
That's the one thing about being. I was thinking driving over here today, not having a show. I don't have people doing YouTube videos of stuff that I said on my radio show.
There's that, and we're just talking about God stuff now, so it's just harmless. I'm going to talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center, my friends. I love them, and if you go follow them on social media, that's where you're going to find out everything that's going on. I love their post they put up a couple of days ago. It says, the best thing about visiting our greenhouses is they look different every time. You're going to find something beautiful. I've got to get out there because I've got a lot of things that just didn't make it through that polar vortex. I lost all my English ivy, at least the stuff that was hanging, and it doesn't look like my lilac's coming back, and so I've got some things I need to replace. So I've got to go out there and buy a few more things. I just need to. I know you do too. Get some beautiful things and get your garden growing great by getting all your bedding plants from Corbin Creek. And while you're there, go in the gift shop. Check out all the fun handcrafted items that they have. Some of the things that Miss Jane has made. I've bought several things and I just love them. And of course, that's where you can get your Robertson County CBD. That is what I swear by to help me with my arthritis. And it may be a game changer for you too. Go and check it out today. They're at 4920 Highway 161. 4920 Highway 161. Call them at 615-383-4185. Get by there today. Follow them on social media and always let them know that U-Turn sent you. And getting into the show now, we'll try to see if Senator Kerry Roberts doesn't want to share something about what he's been up to. Now that you're off for the year, you don't have nothing to do, right? You're not in session, right? You don't do anything. You don't have
catch up.
Yeah.
Catch up on all the stuff I didn't do. So
you're doing some teaching.
Yeah, I haven't. So my I know we've said this before, but just in case somebody missed it. So technically, being a state senator is a part-time job. Mm-hmm. Practically, it's it's 24/7. Not that you're doing it all the time, but it's like being on call all the time. And I've given out my cell phone number to
too many times.
Probably. Well, to the point that honestly, I'm gonna explain something to people, and I hope nobody's offended by this. But first of all, email's a waste of time. I'm just gonna tell you. When email first came out, everybody thought, "Oh, this is great. You can just sit at your keyboard and you can send somebody a message. You don't have to write a letter." Well, it is. It's easy, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think my email inbox looks like?
I can't even imagine how many thousands.
Well, and so everybody puts you on a list.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens and 50 people send you the same thing. And no kidding. And so at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out here. I don't check my state email account. My staff does. Because otherwise I would spend literally just about all day. And I hate to say it, but taxpayer dollars are sitting there going
you're
through
going through
email,
email.
deleting all the duplicate, all the random, all the stuff that we got added to that we can't get off. You can unsubscribe till the cows come home and people resubscribe you. And so what the state needs to do is they need to get away from email and they need to do a contact form, and they won't do it. And that would eliminate a lot of it, because then if you have a contact form, you're only hearing from people who actually want to talk to you. But I'm just going to tell people, call, okay? Don't email, write a letter or call, but don't email. And I'm probably getting a message right now from Janet saying, you sure you want to say that? But it's just, email has gotten to be to where it's a waste of time. And we jokingly say, you remember the Snoopy dance, right? So when you get a letter, it's like Snoopy dance, because somebody actually took the time to write you a letter, and it's so rare. But now I want to be clear. So somebody sits there and goes through all of the email, but email falls under a variety of categories. It's the, I'm mad about some bill that somebody proposed, and it's like, you know what, we ain't even going to vote on that anyway, right? So there's a long list of topics, within my inbox. There's all the topics or all the bill numbers or things like that. So you send a letter saying, I think SB 1022 ought to be a law, or vote yes, vote no, whatever. That gets drugged to SB 1022. And when SB 1022 becomes an issue that I have a vote on, then we look and see what's in the inbox, right? So we've had an automated reply before that just said, basically, your email gets read and responded to at the appropriate time. Well, then I got hammered from, they're just people, you cannot make them happy, right? And, they criticize you for having an auto reply on your email. And so, I don't know what the best thing. I just wish we didn't. I wish they would go to a contact form, and that way it's available to anybody who wants it, but you eliminate all the junk stuff, and you eliminate people having you on their distribution list.
When you say contact form, I would have assumed that you
go on to capital.tn.gov, and you would, instead of where you pull up my page, instead of the email icon, opening Outlook or whatever, and pre-populate my email address, it would go to a contact form where you put your name, you put your address. And this is important. This is really important, because we get a lot of the email that we get pounded with could be bots. It could be, it could be something automated. It could be people in California, and you're required to put your address in. So we know whether you're a Tennessean or not.
If you're in my district.
Yeah. Well, as a state senator, I do represent, 5+ counties and part of Montgomery, but if someone lives in Tennessee, we care what they think. Right. And although more for constituent issues, obviously, if they're in, the counties.
I understand that you don't have that. I assumed you did.
I've asked.
That's crazy. That's
and the thing about it is, and the problem with it is, the problem with it is that then people get upset. You get, like, on some days you get 1,500 emails in a day, and then they're upset. Well, you didn't respond to my email.
Oh, geez,
well, first of all, no one. Look, let me ask you a question. If I'm talking to you and I'm driving down the road and the call drops, okay, do you get upset? No, because why? It's a mobile phone, you're driving, and calls drop. Okay. How do you know I got your email?
True.
Okay. It could have been trapped by a filter. It could have gone to junk. There could have been any number of connectivity issues or whatever. So first of all, if something's mission critical, don't rely on email. And don't rely on voicemail, and don't rely on a text message. Talk to a person and get an answer. And that's what the office number's for. you can call and you can talk to a person. You can get your your thing acknowledged. And what I'm trying to say is that there you could spend it's technically a part-time job that's done 24/7, but you could literally spend all your time just doing the administrative stuff and not solving people's problems, not working on legislation, not researching issues, because there's so much you could do just from an administrative standpoint. And so I don't know. I think email is the biggest offender because so much of the email we get is irrelevant, yet someone has to sit there and wade through it. So if it is relevant and it is important, it gets dealt with. If it requires a response, it gets responded to. But if it doesn't require a response, it just gets read, noted, whatever. And I don't think we've got the right solution yet. I mean, we still have to figure it out. But to me, if we went to a contact form, that would dramatically cut down the volume to constituents who have a problem that you're trying to solve, and not someone who's got you on a distribution list with every other state senator in America. And trust me, we're on the distribution list from the left. We're on the distribution list from the right. The national people, the international people, the state people, the local people. And you can hit unsubscribe all you want, but a public record, public official, they can ignore the unsubscribe request. Now, technically, like with you as an individual, you unsubscribe, that's supposed to be the case. If you've got a government email, they can pretty much ignore it. So.
I mean, and I can't imagine. And I was just kind of in chagrin saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" 'Cause,
I
you're
bet
like off in the off season.
I would bet less than 1 out of 100 of our emails is something from a constituent or a Tennessean related to an issue. So all of that to say, I know it sounds like I'm complaining. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to have effective communication, the best thing to do is to call the office and have a conversation with Janet or with Trey about what your issue, because we're in the office when am I sitting at my office there? So when we're in session, I'm on the Senate floor, I'm in a committee meeting, or I'm meeting with the people who are coming and going related to legislation, their day on the Hill or whatever. I am in the office then, but the likelihood that somebody calls and I'm just sitting there.
Like, oh yeah, I can take that call. Kerry's sitting right here.
So, and when we're not in session, either go like last week, I went to a meeting with Robertson County officials and TDOT over some road issues. So I go to a lot of meetings where I get invited. My district's very rural. I may have to go to a meeting in Waverly, and that pretty much takes the whole day. And you think, well, you've got 4 hours of driving, which that's what that is almost. It's almost 4 hours of driving, and you could talk on the phone. Have you tried driving through rural Tennessee and talking on the phone?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work. Plus, you can't take notes, and you're not. I mean,
not unless you have a driver.
Yeah, and I don't. So we don't get a driver. So I say all that to say, and I do sound very negative, and I don't intend that at all. I want people to understand we're here to serve people and we're here to help people, and what complicates that are all of the activists and ideologues and angry people and whatnot who keep pounding us over, you need to pass a red flag law. You don't need to pass a red flag law. You need to do this. You don't need to do that. And for everyone who's pounding us on say no to a red flag law, there's someone who's pounding us on, you need to ban assault rifles. You need to ban high capacity magazines. You need to, why don't we just ban evil and be done with it?
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's just bring Jesus back.
So, and we've got all these, and we've got all the people on, the governor proposing a special session. And now we've got, this, if you've not been following the news story, first of all, I think Planned Parenthood is evil, and I'm sorry for if that offends any of your listeners, but Planned Parenthood is evil, and they are.
Agreement. Yep.
They are, and
100%.
that's satanic, and that's just it. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend people, but if you're not aware of that, then you're not paying attention. And so you can have a nonprofit which can't do political, but you can have another nonprofit that can be political. So they've got both. They've got both. So they can accept donations and not be political, but they've also got a foundation or a 501c4, which is allowed to be political. And they had a training exercise in Nashville, 2-hour plus meeting. I can't believe somebody did this. This is amazing. Somebody recorded the whole meeting and made it available to the media, to the conservative media. And this lady who's doing the training is talking about the special session and how we're going to F it all up, right? I mean, she's dropping the F word left and right, talking about where you need to go to get arrested, talking about who's going to have, they're here. Listen, just stop and listen to how ridiculous this is. First of all, this is Planned Parenthood. Why are they wanting to F up a special session on gun control? And to add to the hypocrisy, they're talking about people in their group who are going to be armed, providing security, where they can go to get arrested, who doesn't need to get arrested, who needs to be aware of their prior convictions. So if they get arrested, they're screwed up for their job or whatever.
Wow.
I mean, and it's all about, and I'm sorry to be so passionate about it, but it's all about not finding a solution. It's all about disrupting the process.
Yep. It is incredible, and I had not heard that. And I've got to pause. I mean, we were already at past 22, and I've still got 3 breaks to take, Kerry.
Go for
We
it.
picked up an extra break whenever the Highland Rim, I say Highland Rim, follow Highland Rim to find Veterans Motorplex. But when they came back on the scene during their season through October, we've got an extra spot to cover because they are one of our full-time sponsors when they're racing. And they are racing every Saturday night. Gates open at 4. And there's a very, very valuable publication that you need to get a hold of. This is the Let's Talk Trash. Okay, this is the one that came out a couple of weeks ago. The Keenan Group, they put this out. This is the one right at the end of the school year. You want to get a hold of these because on the back cover, this is worth $40, y'all. The back cover, this is a pass that will get you, it'll get 2 adults and up to 6 kids in for free throughout the 2023 race season. That is a very valuable piece of paper right there if you want to go to the races. If you haven't been to the races in a while, guess what? It is a blast. I had no idea how much fun it was. Can't wait to get my grandson and maybe my granddaughter. I don't know if she's 3. I think she'll have a big time. Well, yeah, not even so much that is she has an attention span issue. She's kind of like her mama. And I don't know if she'll sit still for it, but they have big wheel races.
But it is loud.
Oh,
it's
and
loud.
it is loud, but it is so much fun. I had a blast, and I just invite you to come out and join them at Veterans Motorplex. Grab one of the Let's Talk Trash magazines, and you can get in for free. They're at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. If you want to call them, get some details, 643-8725, 643-8725. Veterans Motorplex, one of our full-time sponsors now here at One Street Over. Tell them you turned Cincha, Senator Kerry Roberts. Okay, so when are y'all going into special session?
Well, I don't know.
Set yet?
Well, what the governor did was he said, I'm going to call a special session for August 21st. I think it's a bad idea. I mean, and here's why. First of all, you're trying to do something that no one else has successfully done. And someone would say, well, what do you mean? Because there are other states that have red flag laws. Well, that's true. But let's ask a question. First of all, how many of those red flag laws have been or will be struck down as unconstitutional in light of the Bruin decision last year? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Bruin decision, Bruen, it's a Supreme Court decision related to the Second Amendment, which makes a tremendous number of gun control laws at the state level across America unconstitutional. Now, someone could say, well, I don't, I don't agree with what the Supreme Court did, so I'll just disregard it. Well, look at the Obergefell decision, right? The Obergefell decision is what opened the door for gay marriage. And so all the liberals are all about the Obergefell decision, throwing the Obergefell decision in the face of people who disagree with that, saying the Supreme Court has spoken. It's now the law of the land, and I know we can get into discussion about the three branches of government, et cetera. But all I'm going to say is you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit here and say that we're all about Obergefell, but, we're going to ignore Bruin. You don't get to do that. And so New York, for example, who's had a red flag law that's been upheld by the courts as constitutional, got struck down by two courts as unconstitutional in the light of the Bruin decision. So this is kind of new. We'll call it sort of a new context or a new paradigm that you have to look at all of these laws. So whether or not, they're regardless of how you feel about what are called ex parte orders. So let me talk about that for a moment. Ex parte basically means that somebody's making a decision about you and you're not present to defend yourself. So where is that most common? Family courts, family law. So husband and wife have two kids. They're going to get divorced. Husband or wife, first one to court, gets to court, files for divorce, and files, basically to get the kids and says that the other spouse is abusive, right? Okay. Do you know any friends that have ever had that happen to them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So first one to court gets the kids. The one that didn't go to court then has to lawyer up and spend $100,000 and spends a year of their time trying to get to see their kids again, right? That's what an ex parte order does for you. Is you have somebody go in and make an accusation. If a judge thinks it's credible, and which I don't know how you do because no one's there to defend themselves, right? You're basing it on an allegation. Now, it's one thing if you've got a police report because your soon-to-be ex-spouse came home drunk and, beat on everybody and you call the police and there's a police report. But it's another thing if it's just my word against yours, right? Okay. So a lot of people have a problem with an ex parte order. And you're making an accusation and no one is there to defend themselves. So that's one aspect of a red flag law is do you do it according to ex parte process? Other people say, no, there has to be due process. Well, what does that look like if you've got someone who's potentially mentally deranged and about to do harm with other people? Well, do harm to other people. Well, we've already got laws on the books that allow for that. If someone is a threat to themselves or to other people, we can have involuntary confinement. And so we already have laws that deal with that. So, but all of this is in response, of course, to the Covenant shooting. And some of us have had the opportunity to see the, journals and read through them. And, they're not being released to the public. There's a reason they're not being released. It doesn't have anything to do with making, the woman was crazy. And I don't know that I agree with this, but the police aren't releasing it because it is an extraordinarily detailed how-to manual on killing people. That's it. That's why they're not releasing it. It has nothing to do with Christians, transgender. Other than the fact that she was crazy, but it's extraordinarily detailed on who she wanted to kill, how she wanted to kill them, what she wanted to be known for, and it's just not something that I understand why they feel the way they feel. I don't know that I agree with it, but I understand their logic. It's not ideological. Okay. Yeah. It's not Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative.
You You don't want to inspire others.
That's
the thing.
there. That's it. You just said it better than I did. That's really what's going on here. So anyway, so are we going to have a special session on August 21st? Here is. I don't think we should, and here's why. I don't think that we're going to be able to successfully thread the needle on August 21st. I think whatever we do is going to fall short. I think it will fail, and I think it's a mistake to do that. We need to spend the fall having hearings, having viewpoints be expressed. There's a handful of questions that need to be answered. I think I've got in my mind. I tell you what, take your break and I'll tell you what I would do if it were me. Okay.
Okay. And it's so funny. I want to talk about Cumberland Connect because I've been illustrating the point that they certainly didn't play favorites because the senator here is on the bottom of the list.
I'm still waiting.
He's still waiting because he was not in. They started with the underserved, and it was kind of we had Mayor Vogel and Dr. Chris Causey were kind of up there. They got it before I had a chance for it because I'm only 5 miles from the downtown square, and so I was not quite as underserved, even though my internet was only a 3.5 up speed upload, and now we're in the 600s because I got it. And if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, you're going to have access to. We call it the Gig Club. Everybody wants a gig. $80 will get you a gig, and it is fabulous. And my children say it's like filling a bathtub with a fire hose, but you know what? Why not? It is wonderful the age we live in. The internet is a utility, and because of that, they recognize that they need an affordable connectivity program that provides qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you could receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services, and they've got packages starting at just $30 a month. If you have questions, give them a call at 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or connect with them at cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. Put your zip code in, and it'll tell them when they're going to be knocking on your door, and you be sure and tell them. Sent you a little programming note. I will not be here Wednesday. Lee Marie's going to be filling in for me because my grandson's graduating tomorrow, and they're starting that real early, so it's going to be an early morning for me, and I'm going to miss that. So I will not be with you Wednesday morning. Sweet Lee Marie will be filling in for me. Okay, so what were you going to go?
So if I got to wave my magic wand, and if I was the one making the decision here, here's what I would do. There are up to a dozen questions that have to be answered if you're going to have an extreme order of protection or a red flag law, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And these are the legal issues that need to get resolved to everybody's satisfaction. So you have something that is constitutional, you have something that's effective. Now, keep in mind, in the case of the Covenant Killer, we had laws on the books that would have allowed her to have been had involuntary confinement. But what's required for that to happen? Somebody has to make a phone call
Right.
and establish the threat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pass a law, a supposed red flag law, and nobody makes a phone call, what good does it do? If you look at, I've got Parkland on my mind. I can't think of what was the one in the Northeast in Connecticut. I can't
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. Thank
Yeah.
you. I can't get Parkland out of my mind. There was a red flag law on the books, and
Mhm.
and
Nobody-
nobody did anything. Nobody made the call, and that's something that you have to be aware of. Is just because you have the ability, whether you have what Tennessee has on the books now, or whether you have even a more robust law. If nobody makes a phone call, then it doesn't really matter. So there are a lot of, and by the way, there's a lot of misinformation. Tennessee is not an easier state to buy a gun than any other state. Okay, if you look at all 50 states and you stack up who is the most burdensome state versus who's the easiest state, Tennessee is really right in the middle of the pack. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, they ought to ban automatic weapons. Guess what? They're already banned. Okay, you can't do it. Well, they ought to have more background checks. Guess what? You already have to have a background check in Tennessee. Now, someone could say, not if you sell from individual to individual. That's true. Okay, not from individual to individual. But explain to me. Okay, let's just back up a little bit. Okay, so you buy something on Amazon and it says it's $19.99, but you look at your credit card statement, right, and it ends up being $21.99 because they charge you sales tax, right? Okay, and you're a little bit ticked off about it, right? They charge me sales tax. Okay, guess what? That's always been true. But until a few years ago, they didn't require Amazon to collect it. They required you to remit it.
Yeah, to volunteer. Say,
so
by the
if
way,
you
I'm in
bought,
Tennessee, I have
yeah, so if you bought
Yeah.
furniture in North Carolina, you would occasionally get a bill from the Tennessee Department of Revenue saying you owe sales tax on this furniture, because so a few years ago we changed who's responsible for collecting it and doing it, and so now all these surpluses that Tennessee has, guess what is responsible for a lot of them?
Sales tax
Is who collected the sales tax is being collected. So it's been the law all along, but nobody did it. Okay.
Nobody enforced
So
it.
so to my point here, you could have a law saying you could have a background check from individual to individual. And let me ask you a question. Where in Springfield, what street corner don't say a name because someone will get upset, but you could you could pick a street corner in Springfield, Tennessee, in White House, Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee. You can pick a spot where you can go buy a gun. A criminal can go buy a gun. Okay. You can have all the laws on the books that you want. And what is a criminal going to do?
Still going to break the law.
They're going to break the law. They don't care, right? I mean, when you go kill people, what have you just done? You just broke the law. And so so explain to me, this is like the definition of insanity. Why do you think another law is going to solve a problem? And this is my biggest frustration with sitting on the Judiciary Committee is, one of my colleagues standing up saying, well, I've got this bill that's going to do this because this never needs to happen again. Right. We're going to pass a law. We're going to add it to the green books because we've got all these volumes on the bookshelf of laws in Tennessee. We're going to pass another law, and then that's never going to happen again. Just like none of us have ever gone 80 on the interstate, right?
Right.
Well, we passed a law. You have to obey the speed limit, and all of us do, don't we? Every single one of us. I
do.
I mean, no one goes over 70 miles an hour on the interstate, do they? And so someone would say, well, that's harmless. Okay, well, you've got people who don't know the law, therefore they don't obey it. You've got people who rationalize their departure from the law. And then you have the people who just, are just lawbreakers, and they don't care. And they don't care.
They'll always be there.
Yeah. So we get into this whole frustrating exercise of we've already got laws on the books that were not effective. So we're going to add to those laws to make them more effective. So what would I do? I got sidetracked. I would have a series of, there's 10, 12 questions that have to be answered. What I would do, I would have a series of 10 to 12 publicly streamed, televised events. And if I was the governor, I would moderate them. And I would get 360 degrees of viewpoint represented for each question. Not too many people, 6 or 8 people. And I would go through these questions. Let's talk about ex parte. How do we protect the constitutional rights of someone against a false accusation? And let, John Harris of the TFA go at it with whoever the attorney is, national level attorney is for Moms Demand Action, for Everytown for Gun Safety, for NRA, for Gun Owners of America. All these different people, have them represented, ask the question, and let them debate the question, and let them crosstalk. So if the attorney for Moms Demand Action makes some outrageous claim, John Harris can say that was an outrageous claim. If John Harris makes an outrageous claim,
they can counter.
They can counter. Yeah, right. So you can, and then televise this so everybody can see how difficult it is to thread this needle. Okay, so have one afternoon for one question, come back a week later, do another afternoon for the next question, and do this for if you really care about getting this right, if you really care about leading the nation, then don't do something that
It's gonna get
it's just going to get overturned in court, right? So you can say you did something, either do something that everybody in the nation can follow, or demonstrate to everyone there's a reason no one's been able to do it thus far.
Well, and it's like we get back to the trying to overturn Roe versus Wade. We knew the things that had to be in line to get it to happen. You know what I'm saying? We knew you could not pass laws that were going to get overturned, you know. And so the law had to be right when it came to protecting the life of the unborn.
So that's what I would do, and then let that lead to legislation that we contemplate in January. Spend the fall letting everybody have a voice in this matter, letting everybody tackle the issues, letting everybody contemplate how difficult this task is, and then let that lead to potentially prospective legislation for us to take up in January.
I think it's a great idea, and it's already 8 o'clock. We're going to come back and say bye to Kerry Robertson in just a minute, but I'm going to talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Spent the weekend with them, hung out at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. Love these folks. They're just so kind, so wonderful. They do so much for the community, and if you want great representation at the real estate table, you can't ask for better representation. Barry's a marketer. He can do all the things to make sure your property is seen in its best light. Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She studies. She stays up to date on everything that's going on. They've been in Cross Plains 27 years, I think. So they're Robertson Countyans. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Great folks, great friends. And if you want to contact them, go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy robertsoncounty.com, or you can just give Becky a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Let them know you sent you parting thoughts, Senator, as we head out.
Thank you for the opportunity to do this job. If I sounded negative, I didn't mean to. If we can help you in any way, call, don't email. 741-4499. You can email if you want, but calling gets you faster answer usually. And I'm going to start after Nora gets married, daughter gets married July 29th. I'm going to start, and I haven't quite figured out exactly how and when, but I'm going to start doing the coffees in the different counties,
cool.
like one weekend, one day, one place, just so people can come. And
that's a great idea.
we're past COVID. We haven't done anything like that since before COVID.
That's a great idea.
And just sitting there and go to Historic Park or something like that, and just say, going to be here for an hour or two, and come by, say hi, and talk about things, share ideas, whatever. Sometimes it's kind of tough when you do that, because you can get one person who just shows up but that's where hopefully you can do that in a way. You got to have people there to sometimes.
You got to have some structure, so we can give you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But you can't have somebody that's going to monopolize it, and they're always are there. So
it happens.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you for the interview that you conducted with me this morning. And anyway.
I think that we need to go with my little bumper music sometime. We need to just and give me some headphones, and I can just.
We'll come on. We'll get some of us on here and get back from Mexico and do an interview. Paul Rainey's going, remember Laverne,
with your
we had
local
to pay
news
to get
from
a ride somewhere else at the
WSGI.
border.
The family of Chase Stafford is hoping support from local community members will help them lay her to rest. The body of the 25-year-old woman was recovered from the Cumberland River near the